Long irons can be one of the most challenging parts of this game, but it can also be one of the most rewarding and one of the most beneficial to your confidence and to your overall golf swing. Being able to play these clubs effectively can improve all parts of your ball striking throughout the bag. They are one of the most challenging to hit solidly. They're harder to hit up in the air. And if we can start to achieve that, then we'll see the benefits in all parts of our bag and we'll see our confidence grow. So I'm going to talk about a few different components to help you start hitting these better. We're going to discuss how the body moves. We're going to discuss how the arms swing around that body movement. And then we're going to have a discussion about how to improve the contact so that we're striking it solidly to get that ball, get the flight that we deserve out of the movement that we're creating. So we'll start with how the body moves. And the one thing that we have to address immediately and when it comes to the body is it has to move. So a lot of players, when they're playing golf, they're trying to keep things in place so to not make a mistake. But the reality is the best ball strikers in the world, the players that you see on TV, they move well. They're very athletic. They've got some side-to-side movement, they've got some rotation, and the body is flowing nicely, and that's generating some speed. And that speed's needed to launch these lower lofted clubs into the air. They then pair that up with a useful movement of their arms around that pivot motion to create the most amount of speed that they can, that speed that's needed to produce that desirable ball flight with the long irons. And then they're able to strike the ball solidly. So we'll go through some ideas on how we can start to just improve our contact. So we'll begin with how the body moves. So we're going to focus on two main parts as it pertains to the body movement. That's going to be the rotation of the body, and that's going to be the movement of the pressure in our feet, or the lateral movement. And this is one of the big keys is to accept the fact that there is going to be a bit of side-to-side movement so we can transfer pressure into my trail foot and back into my lead foot. So as it pertains to the rotation, that's going to start to occur in the upper part of the spine. So like from the middle of my torso up, that part of my body is going to be rotating. So it's not actually my shoulders. My shoulders rotate in this direction. My spine is what's rotating in the backswing, and my entire torso. And then that starts to pull on the pelvis. So then the pelvis is going to be rotating. And I'm rotating that pelvis kind of into the trail hip joint. So if I get this body rotating, I've now started the swing effectively to where I can turn out of that on the downswing. And then I'm going to add the arm swing into that. Now the lateral movement in conjunction with that rotation is going to be such that I'm shifting pressure from a rather centered position as far as pressure in my feet, meaning an equal amount roughly on my lead and trail foot. And as I'm rotating, I'm moving pressure into this trail foot. More specifically, I'm trying to feel some pressure get placed into this right ankle joint. I'm trying to load this right ankle joint up because I'm going to use that to propel myself forward in the downswing. Now what's going to aid in that is the second part of this, which is the arm swing. So we're going to focus on the bottom half of the swing right now, and that's going to be from roughly with my hands shoulder high to shoulder high. And at that particular point in the swing, I want my arms to be rather long. Most amateurs are bending the trail arm too much, bending the trail wrist too much, and they get a very collapsed look and the handle gets very close to them. A lot of times this is in an attempt to keep this trail arm very close to their side, but if we watch the best ball strikers in the world, there's a very extended or wide takeaway. So they're starting to stretch things back where their arms are reaching back and there's a stretch up their lead side. Now, what that encourages, going back to that pivot with the rotation and the pressure moving into my trail foot, if I am focused on creating some width here or extension of the arms in this direction, I'm going to shift some pressure into that trail foot. So when I pair this together, A drill is going to look like long arms on both sides and focusing on rotating the torso. Okay, and if I'm able to maintain my focus on those components, I've got the rotation of my upper spine, the rotation of my pelvis into my trail hip joint, the lengthening of my arms. They're gonna feed off each other. So what I mean by that is I cannot keep my arms extended and keep both hands on the club unless I've rotated. So if I did not rotate, at some point, one of the arms would have to sacrifice. I would not be able to keep both hands on the golf club. So if I'm focused on keeping length to my arms, then I have to rotate the torso and the pelvis. And again, if I'm going back to that motion and that intention to lengthen things out over here, that's gonna move pressure into my trail foot. So now I'm in a pretty typical position in a takeaway that we see among some of the best long iron players in the world. So just like the shot I just performed, that would be the drill. I wanna make sure that I make multiple swings prior to hitting the shot. I'm not trying to hit anything special right now. I'm just trying to get the motion down. So I can think of this as a half swing to a half swing, roughly. Lengthening the arms, rotating the torso. And I'm just hitting some little chip shots out there. Now, the contact piece. So I have a tee here and a tee here. This is just an intention to land the club in a particular spot on the ground. So in order to make good contact, one of the key components is, and this is very obvious, but we want to train it, is to get this club to land on the ground very near the golf ball, hopefully right at the back of it. So I can set some balls up in between these tees and hit some shots and see where my club's landing on the ground. Or I can have them outside of this station and I just use this as a rehearsal station, and I'm going through the motion and I'm trying to land the club on the ground on an imaginary line between these two tees. That's helping me learn to feel and sense and gain some accuracy over where I'm landing that club on the ground. After I've done a couple of those, I can move back into my drill, some rehearsals, feeling the arms long, feeling some rotation of the torso, and another half to half. All right, so I've spent maybe 10 to 15 minutes on that ideally. And now I'm just gonna add the element of the finish to the golf swing. So I'm gonna feel the same thing in this one, this version of this drill. I'm just gonna extend my arms and go into a follow through. I'm still not adding much speed. I'm still maintaining the same length of backswing. I'm just finishing the golf swing. And I'm always paying attention, am I landing this club where I'm trying to land it? Meaning, am I making good contact? And if I start to have some struggles while hitting golf balls, it's fine to step out of the area where you're hitting balls from and get back into your practice station and just rehearsing where that club's gonna land on the ground. Now, after I've done some of that, now I'm just gonna take a tee and I'm gonna hit some shots off of a very shallow tee. Now the main objective of this is just simply to learn to create a nice shallow angle of attack. My intention here is just to sweep it off the tee without a divot. So I'm gonna go through and hit a series of shots where I just do the half swings to half swings, just as we started. Just picking them off that tee. And after I've done some of those, I can move into the half to full swings. So same length backswing into a full finish. And now I can end my practice session going through my routine, rehearsing these motions, and then trying to infuse those feels, whatever I was generating, into an actual shot that I would play on the golf course. Now we want to be patient with these. Start with the small ones. Being patient means we don't jump right into just hitting full shots, going full swing and trying to fix stuff along the way. We're going to get more into a process mindset, and we're going to be focused on running through the steps, through the drills, building blocks up to those full swings.